Hey everyone, welcome back to GameSpot. We are here on the lobby, our weekly video game hangout, here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. in San Francisco, California. Pete Brown.
Hi.
What are you laughing about?
I looked at the wrong camera.
Oh, well, where were you looking?
That one.
Oh, Pete Brown, reviews editor. You're going to be talking a lot about Pyre today, I would presume.
As long as you'll let me.
We're all kind of taken by surprise. We expected it might be a good game, but turns out it's really good.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. It was an awesome surprise.
Cool, so we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm here with Rob Hamlery as well, and I'm sure you are going to try to hijack the show and talk about Titanfall 2 the entire time.
As long as you'll let me.
And I'll have to rein that back. No, just kidding. It's really fun. New Horde co-op mode out yesterday for the game, and you played a lot of it.
It's time to come back.
So we'll be getting into that shortly. And Callie, you've been playing a bunch of different things, and I know you're starting another review soon, but... little bit. Did you review Dream Daddy, or were you just playing it?
I don't know. I've been playing it. I don't think I have time to review it because I'm going on to this next review. But I will talk about that as long as you let me.
Cool. So we'll get into all that stuff. We do have a giveaway. I'll announce that at the end of the show. And wow, that was a really uniform response from all three of you. That was really good. And we're also getting into Fortnite, which I've been playing a lot and I want to talk about. But yeah, cool. Some news first, as usual. So some people found that when they opened their email the other morning, their SNES Classic pre-orders from Walmart had been canceled.
No, not me.
My pre-order was canceled. Both of them.
Don't rub
I got
it
two
in.
of them. It was a really good night. I got chicken dinner and PUBG, and then actually during the match that I got chicken dinner, I went prone in this building to pre-order these two SNES Classics.
Weird time to...
That's...
No, well, I know, because, apparently I was still too slow because they got canceled. I woke up the next day and it said my card info couldn't be verified, but apparently they said that to a lot of people. Yeah. But Pete here apparently has both of his still. He must have beat me to the punch.
Always do.
Yeah, so there's no word on when they'll go back up or when they'll go up on Amazon or anything. You know, hopefully sometime soon. Because that comes October 6th, it's getting delivered or something?
September 29th is when it comes out.
Okay. For some reason, Walmart said they were going to send me on the 6th.
Because they're slow. That's when you would have gotten it in the mail delivered, I think.
So yeah, some people had them canceled, some people did not, but obviously we will be on the lookout for when they go back up on pre-order wherever they might be, and we will let you all know.
Peter,
hopefully,
can I buy one off of you?
Maybe.
Wait, Peter, can I buy one off of you?
Damn it.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is in early access this year, and a lot of people have been playing it. It crossed 5 million sold the other day. I think it was last weekend. So it's still doing really well. Obviously, it's a game that's been bolstered by its streaming community, and we here at GameSpot have been enjoying it a little more. Jake and I have been kind of streaming it. We've done 2 weeks now. We're going to try to keep that going every Monday. Obviously, it can be a fun game to watch, but even more fun to play. Pretty tense game.
We're talking about...
Wow. What the fudge? Wait, hold on. Callie, you first. Can we talk about what?
I just realized my graphics card is too old to run PUBG.
Really?
So
What do you have?
I have a 670, and I think the minimum 660, but it does not run. Would not recommend. So I have an hour logged in that game. Have not successfully played a game yet.
Didn't we just got a few new PCs for the office use, right?
Yeah, I'll probably
you should hook that up.
Stay late
You'd like
play.
it,
yeah.
as I'm sure you already know if you tried playing it. But what did you want to say?
The developer has like a no tolerance policy for assholes, which has been great.
What is it? The streamer, Mr. Disrespect.
He
Dr.
killed
Disrespect.
he killed his
Dr.
own teammate.
Thank you.
Like to free up a seat in a car. Or something like that.
So that wasn't. So he got temporarily banned for that, right? And then on Twitter, he jokingly threatened Brennan Green or PlayerUnknown with violence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought PlayerUnknown's response, he did like a twit longer or whatever, was really mature because it was just saying like, hey, this isn't a joke to me because I literally was attacked once. And you don't know who you're talking to when you joke about assaulting someone, and you might be causing them to remember really horrible things that they don't want to remember. And I just thought it was really even-handed and well done.
And if a guy named Mr. Disrespect is vying for respect, I think that's a lost cause.
Yeah, I think he carried his character over into Twitter too much.
Yeah.
Sure.
Apparently. But yeah, so good for Brennan Green. He just started. So the history of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is super weird.
The history?
Did I say that? The history of PlayerUnknown's the piss story of PlayerUnknown's Battleground started. Brennan Green was a photographer in Brazil. He started modding Battle Royale for Arma. and then came out for Armor 2, and then that moved over to Armor 3. And then like Sony picked up the idea with King of the Kill and H1Z1, and he was doing some consulting for it, and now it's its own standalone thing because DayZ is its own standalone thing. So it moved on, and he's doing really well. Crossed 5 million. Tomorrow is kind of a big-ish day for a couple minor releases. Doomfist will be available on all platforms for Overwatch if you want to get into that. Did you see the cosplayer, the first Doomfist cosplayer at Comic-Con?
Yeah,
so cool.
I kept wondering how heavy it was.
I guess he doesn't really. He just saw the character art, but apparently he doesn't really know Overwatch or know much about Doomfist in terms of the game's design because they were doing photos and they're like, all right, all the offense characters come up here, and he didn't really know what Doomfist did. I think he's a Broadway actor, but it was a really good cosplay. But yeah, anyway, you could play as Doomfist tomorrow, not just on PTR. It's on all platforms tomorrow, Thursday, July. What is tomorrow? The 26th, 28th. I'm really behind. So there you go. You can see the cosplay right here. And there's another girl. There's a girl shaving her nose off.
Now that is some
Ignore
cosplay
that.
right there.
I don't know whose whose like browser is this?
Recommended.
What are you searching, Jean-Luc?
Recommended. Get that nose off.
Tomorrow, Overcooked comes to the Switch.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the 27th. Why am I saying... Yeah, today's 26th. Overcooked, the co-op game where you're frantically running around a kitchen or a restaurant making meals with other people. It's really fun. I played it... The last time I played it was our Extra Life marathon.
Yeah, this is some of the most fun, like, co-op times I've had is playing Overcooked. It's one of those games that, like, the first time I played it, I immediately wanted to play it again. I'm really excited to play it on Switch because I'll actually have my Switch with me everywhere I go.
It seems like it would be one of those games where you actually have people huddled around the
Like in the commercials.
tablet. Yeah. Or I guess it seems like one of the
basketball
games
court.
where that seems halfway feasible.
Yeah, you get on the roof of your New York apartment building,
Yeah.
huddle around the Switch.
Callie, you want to join us? It's a party.
Bring your Switch.
Bring your mochaccino over here and start playing Overcooked with us. And then Neo DLC also came out yesterday. The Defiant Honor Dlc, the second DLC for Neo, the Souls-like game, if you will, but really good game. I've been meaning to go back to it. I'm hoping to get back into it and play these DLCs eventually. But it came out yesterday. Miguel Concepcion has been playing it. I think Eric Tay might have jumped in a little bit, but we will have more. None of us got the chance to play it because it's a little more involved than like Titanfall 2's DLC. But I'm gonna want to play that soonish, and we can. You can go check it out, the video, and just like our written thoughts on GameSpot.
I want to be good at this game. It looks so interesting.
It is really fun. It copies a lot of the Dark Souls formula, but I think it changes a lot of it to the point where it's a very unique game on its own. It's fun.
Fighting with a maple leaf? Get out of here.
Is that what that was?
Sick.
Yeah, Japanese maple leaf.
Oh, gotcha. Oh yeah, you have like spirits that you can summon, and you have muskets, and you have cannons apparently.
Hot wig.
Yeah. Yeah, Tay was playing actually. I just recalled him dying from that arrow storm the other day, putting him on blast right now.
Yeah, putting him on blast.
Cool. Sweet. Callie, Dream Daddy.
Yay!
What's it like?
So we talked a little bit about the weird non-controversy about Dream Daddy, but Dream Daddy is actually really, really good. It's really well written. It's funny. There's like a mini game where you have to brag about your daughter in the style of a Pokemon battle. It's just like I was actually really emotional because I love my daughter. She's perfect, and I want her to succeed in life. It's really fun. There's even a hidden ending that people were finding. You can look up the cult ending. That is crazy.
Cult ending?
The cult ending.
Is it about a cult, or is it just like it has a cult following?
It's not a no. There's an ending that's about. I won't spoil it if you don't want it to be spoiled, but just look that up. There's actual sprites and stuff. I don't think people have gotten it in the game, but it reminds me a lot of Huddleful Boyfriend in that it's very tongue-in-cheek. It understands the dating sim genre and is kind of making fun of it. You make your own dad book profile, and you can answer questions like, if you could take one thing on a desert island, what would you bring? And you can be like, my trusty grill, my copy of, whatever on
the Bible.
DVD. Yeah, not the Bible. It's not in there. But it's really good. I would really recommend it if you like dating sims. It's really funny, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Would you say it's like very wholesome, yet also manages to be sexy?
It's not wholesome. I would not say it's
No? Like the idea of like your daughter being like a thing.
That's true. It is really sweet. You have a really, really good relationship with your daughter in the game, and you can get multiple. It's kind of cool because you have these two parallel stories going. You have whichever dad you decide to date, and then you have the story with your daughter, and you can get the good ending and the bad ending with her as well. And she's going through her troubles in high school, and that part, yeah, you're right, is very wholesome. But there's not like sex scenes or anything like that. But I decided for my first run through I was going to go for the worst dad possible just as a nice warm up, and he picks you up from a bar immediately and it's like come home with me, and I was like, oh yikes, okay, we're getting right into this. So yeah, kind of it balances those things well though. I got a bad dad achievement for going home with him. Yeah, bad was not a good dad.
Errol Moss in Twitch said, Callie, who is best dad?
Craig.
Whoa. I made up the name Chris, but I was close. I got the first.
So far, consonant. I think Craig is the best dad. He's your friend from college. There's the dad, brag about the dad, brag about your daughter mini game. I lost, by the way. His daughter is more accomplished than my daughter. But mine's better.
Have you seen the cosplay floating around?
There's
of the daughter.
I saw a fantastic cosplay of the daughter, a fantastic cosplay of actually one of the best dads is Matt. He works in a coffee shop, and I saw a fantastic cosplay of him as well.
Was it just a barista? He's like, why are you taking my photo?
No, he asks you to help him name, like he has like really pun heavy menu, and it'll be like, oh, you can order like the iced Tegan and Sarah or whatever, and he asks you to help him name his banana bread, and I chose Banana Bread Kennedy's, but there was also Grateful Banana Bread was also an option.
Gosh.
Before I get too annoyed, so how does it? So I saw you like creating a dad.
Oh, the created dads.
Wait, hold on. Let me backtrack. I saw you creating a dad that looked like the guy from Iron Giant.
I did.
And let me backtrack. I saw you creating a dad that looked very, very weirdly similar to the dad from Iron Giant. It's like they expected you to do that.
Yeah, it's because this haircut actually that you see right now, that's
Where's
the haircut.
that goatee? Is this him?
This is not me creating this dad, but I would like to point out that one of the cool...
That's why I wear it to bed.
One of the cool
That's
things...
what my body looks like.
I actually...
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. The portrait on the bottom left also changes.
Yeah.
And it's so creepy.
I would like to point out that is one of the binder bod options. So this game's actually really inclusive in a quiet way that I liked. Like, it wasn't like, look at us, we included all of the check marks that we needed to be diverse. It's just like you have the option to be a trans dad essentially and have like the binder body option. Okay. Binder being what a lot of female to male trans people will wear for like before top surgery and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. You can also be bi or gay. You can say like your daughter had a mother who passed away or a father, stuff like that. But it gives you the option. And I liked that it was just really subtle. It wasn't like, all right, this is the gay dad simulator. Right. Here's all of the
it normalizes stuff. It doesn't try to prop it up.
Yeah, and so I played that. Honestly, I bought this because I was like, this is going to be a hilarious joke. I can't wait to play this. But it was actually really heartwarming with the daughter stuff and really enjoyable, and I laughed a lot playing it.
Does the dad you build influence how other dads treat you?
No, you could build... There's actually options to make your dad look like Goku. You can straight up make Goku. Right. They don't like think you're hotter or less hot, depending. It's love is blind, etc.
5 out of 10.
Whoa. Did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
Also, the character creation just put glasses on him as you said that. Cool.
Yeah.
Whoa, these outfits.
Yeah. Dang, that's an awesome shirt.
Egg
over
nips.
Hard.
I want...
Eggs over hard.
God dang it. You should write for this game.
Yeah, you should.
I want that shirt.
Cool.
Yeah, I want that dad.
Dream Daddy.
I want to be that dad.
It's out on what? Just PC?
It's on Steam, yeah.
Cool.
It's only $15, so.
Okay.
How long is it?
You could play a lot because there's, I think, 6.
How many dads are there?
6 dads to date. Oof. 6 or 7.
It's like a lifetime worth of dads.
Yeah, there's a lot of dads to date.
It's more than I have.
There's good and bad endings. So I got the bad ending with the slutty dad. Excuse me. And
Wait, what was his name?
his name's Robert.
What?
Sorry.
Speaking of Robert,
Sorry.
so
You slut.
The Fox a while back asked a question that I thought would kind of get you going. The Fox on YouTube says, "Does anyone even play Titanfall 2 anymore?"
Oh.
Yesterday, Frontier Defense update release for Titanfall 2. Explain what it is to us and why it's one of the bigger updates, aside from what was the new Titan?
New Titan was Monarch.
Yeah, aside from Monarch, why is this one of the bigger updates to Titanfall 2 in the year or so that it's been out?
Good question. Good question. It implements 4-player co-op, your horde mode, if you will, and it's probably one of the best. Keep it together. It's probably one of the best horde modes I've ever played. Like, I feel like sometimes those can be, you know, kind of slapped onto a game, but like here it's like, it's really very separate as well, and we'll get into more about that, I guess. But like, it's, you know, it's a completely different feature as far as like your progression. You know, you have these things called Aegis ranks, right, where they're specific to your Titan. So the more you play as a specific Titan, you kind of increasingly build up different types of abilities that are really very much game changers.
They're kind of OP stuff, but then you start getting into the higher difficulties of this mode and you realize you need them.
Yeah.
That's separate from normal mode?
Correct. Well, that's the cool thing. Here's how I think it's going to happen. And just to give an idea of like what one of these abilities would be, it's like there's like 12 ranks, I think. So someone like Scorch. 9. Is it 9?
From what I saw yesterday.
Okay, 9.
If my memory is accurate.
So one of the like second to last ability for Scorch, who has a very slow fire rate with his thermite launcher. One of the last ones is you can fire 3 consecutively without having to reload, which is huge for someone like that.
Uses Scorch a lot.
Scorch is great. Scorch is great.
That's best dad for me.
Yeah, side note, he was one of the only aspects of the game that got like a really big buff. So people, Tay and I were doing this live stream yesterday, which was really fun. It's funny to see all these. Like, the community is really great and fun to see progress. Where people are calling him now Papa Scorch.
Yeah,
and you just hear all these puns, and people just love, you know, their main, and they like to kind of have you know, very fun.
There's fan fiction.
Oh, I'm sure. But anyways, what were we talking about? Jeez.
So the Aegis rank is specific to Frontier Defense,
correct.
But all your other progression is consistent across PvP and this.
Right.
So you can upgrade, like my Ronin, who's the one I've been working on, he was level like 14 when I first got into it, and I ranked him up to 17. The Aegis rank does not, those like more powerful abilities and attacks don't factor into PvP stuff, but
for now they don't.
Right.
I
have a hard time believing they ever will. Those are pretty big.
You're absolutely right, and I was thinking about it too, and I see it as just, if they do implement it into PvP, it would be its own mode, right?
Yeah,
like you would definitely have to keep it separate. From
yeah, it's just like Iron Banner and Destiny or something that takes into account those kind of imbalancing abilities.
It could be. It's really fun, man. It's really fun. So yeah, you know, you have these waves. They're 5 waves. They get increasingly more difficult, as you can imagine. You have enemy types that have that wield mortars. So the premise of the horde mode is that you have a harvester that you need to protect, and if it's destroyed, then you lose, and you have 3 retries to survive 5 modes. So you have these enemy types like mortars that are like further away from your harvester that are kind of, you know, luring you out
on rooftops.
You have to take them out, or else they'll rain havoc on your harvester. And then, so I had played, in order to get to there's 4 difficulties, easy, regular, hard, and master. I played.
Isn't it insane? I thought it's called.
It's weird. It's like a whole separate difficulty. I don't even know what it's like, because you have to actually level up your Aegis rank. So in order to get to hard, you have to have I think a rank of 5 or 10, I believe. And Tay and I just did, for the sake of the stream, we just did regular mode, and it was. By the end of it, we were actually like, this is kind of easy. Then I tried hard mode, and my God, like, was crawling by the end of it. And that's what I really, really enjoyed. And it was really difficult. And you start seeing all these implemented aspects of like the enemy types, especially for Titans. Like Mike, you were talking about. So here you can see a Scorch with a Legion with a nuclear icon over it, meaning nuclear ejection. So when you destroy him, he's going to explode and do an insane amount of damage. If you don't take out those guys prior to them getting in the vicinity of your harvester, you're gonna lose. You have to take those guys out quickly because they will wreck your harvester.
Yeah.
And so in hard mode, by like the last wave, it's just an onslaught, like a dozen of these guys, and it's so panic inducing, and just fun. And so yeah, you're strategizing here. You know, like many other horde modes, you know in between rounds, you're buying arc traps. You see there. Turrets. You're getting strategic. You're putting the arc traps in lanes. There's one there on the bottom left that's nuclear. If you rodeo a Titan, when you get off, you immediately cause him to explode.
Yeah.
So that is kind of pushing you to get out and down the lanes as quick as possible to get out, take out these nuclear Titans.
The thing I like about this DLC is it actually makes me rethink how my loadouts work. So
Totally.
I'm definitely gonna. I mean, how many loadout slots do you get higher up levels? I don't know. I'm sure like my 9 and 10 slots I'll make specifically for Frontier Defense because I told you I've been working on Ronin, and you said there are some Titans that have that. You could see right here the arc electricity surrounding them.
And they storm in because Ronin is very much a close quarters type of Titan.
So but also when I unlock my sword core for Ronin, which is like his ultimate, so to speak, he. Like there's 4 Titans coming down a lane, whereas in multiplayer, I'd save that for when I can take out 1 or 2 enemies, and I'll kind of be conservative about it because I don't want to just die. In this, I'll be the only one in that lane. The other 3 people will be off doing their own thing, and I'll activate it kind of, more arbitrarily, or not arbitrarily, more, on a whim right away because I need to defend them for that. So and there's also like anti-Titan weapons are much bigger now, or not much bigger, but I use them much more. Plus, they revamped the weapon system earlier, so you can have 2. You have the sidearm and the anti-Titan.
Which one of the biggest gripes of this update, because they're always changing balancing. The one thing I see a lot of people commenting on is that they actually nerfed a lot of almost all of the pistols, which is kind of a bust. Having that slot now, and it's like great. There's no point in using it. So this is always cool when you have actually infinite respawns. So it's just about keeping your harvester alive. So here you are like entering on a dropship. Doing damage from above. They even added the drones, which I totally forgot were in the single player drone enemy types they come in waves. So you just see them coming over buildings and just flocking in. You're just hosing them down. It reminds me of like, this is a weird comparison, but it reminds me of like Matrix Revolutions, just those sentinels coming at you and you're a Titan just like,
those were in the first one too at the end.
Well, just the ending battle they have in the Zion, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, and the other great. That's a tough word to say. Good job. The other cool thing is that you have different types of waves. Maybe you'll get again like nuclear Titans coming in, or just a bunch of grunts. They're very specific to maps. So there are, I believe, 5 maps currently. They'll implement the mode into other ones down the road. And this is the new map, Rise, from the first game, which people love. But they're very specific. Like you were telling me, and I hadn't played just until yesterday, the Blackwater Canal map, which has the big canal in the middle. The enemy waves filter through and down that one lane.
Under the bridge?
Yeah, and
downtown.
The waves cater to that, so they're different. I guess what I'm trying to say is each map is very different as far as strategy goes.
Yeah,
and
this one seems much less lane-based, the one I'm watching right now.
Oh, it's got like 3 main lanes. Yeah. I mean, all maps kind of do,
maybe Blackwater is just very, 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 like 3 approaches, aside from the mortar guys, which you can go over rooftops.
Yeah, the thing is, I kept telling you, is I really want to play with friends and have voice chat because it's pretty key. Like, it's really, really teamwork centric.
Yeah.
Where, like, you want to have, as you said, loadouts too, right? Like, you think you like Cloak, but now I'm realizing, which is an ability that I would never use, is AWOL, where it's like, I just put down my AWOL and I could be that defensive player and just use like anti-Titan weapons.
It's a shield for those who don't know.
It's a shield, but when you output through it, it does a damage boost.
Yeah.
So like
cool.
So that would be a role. Another role would be like I'm gonna get down early and like take out these Titans. But yeah, it's very team centric, and I think it's super fun and unique. And if you again drifted off from the multiplayer because you thought it was a little too competitive or difficult, this is like a whole new way of playing this game.
Yeah, Lion Peach in the YouTube chat was just saying it's funny that this released the same week as like Fortnite's soft launch, 2 wave defense things. Obviously, Zombie Chronicles came out recently. Seems like it's not a resurgence. I don't think wave defense kind of survival modes ever went anywhere, but It is funny. We'll talk more about Fortnite later, but it's funny that a Titanfall 2 update does wave defense better than Fortnite, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In a few ways, but that's not the best, like the fairest comparison, but they are going for part of their Fortnite's design is wave defense. And I'm having much more fun with Titanfall 2's wave defense. Titanfall 2 is also a really good example of games that are really, really supporting their communities after launch. There's Overwatch. You have like
That's what I was gonna say.
Ubisoft
It's
has been
insane.
doing really well too. The Division they made much better. Rainbow Six Siege like doubled its player base 8 months after or something.
Yeah.
It's really great. Like like the subreddit of the games that I am obsessed with and look into the subreddits. Like that subreddit is so cool to see. Like one of the developers be the kind of spokesperson and like post the patch notes. We're also doing Q&A. Like when people are being vocal about changes that they don't like, it's just a very like healthy conversation. Like there's never a post that's like, are you fucking, like any kind of like bashing or swearing or being like overly aggressive. With so many games you see like can get nasty. They completely listen to their fans every time. Like yeah.
Yeah, like Tumbleseed did that too, where they released a patch because people were like not beating that game. Like 0.8% of people beat that game or something like that. They were like, all right, we heard you guys. It's too difficult. And they wrote this whole thing out, the developers. And it's nice to have that open channel, like they're listening and then it's more of a conversation rather than just people yelling into a void.
Right.
Being like, oh, it's too hard. I hate this.
It doesn't have to be like
It's an evolving
players versus developers, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
we both want this game to be good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's. I'm interested to see. It's not the same developer, obviously, but Battlefront 2 is gonna have free DLC as well. So I'm interested to see how EA kind of implements that stuff as far as EA is concerned as the publisher of both games.
DLC, or updates post launch, they need to make money, obviously, and Titanfall's really great about separating that with cosmetics. Like I'm always like happy to give that $5 for a skin. Again, having all the updates be free, like.
It also
That's
helps
so big.
people want to just pick up the game if maybe they didn't see anything there they wanted before.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like,
Like
well,
now.
geez, when this came out, it was one thing, but it's a totally different thing now, so maybe I'll buy it.
Yeah, you could play just Frontier Defense and still
Right.
level up in the same progression system plus the Aegis system.
Totally. And I responded to some guy, I think on YouTube, who was like, is this worth picking up? And it's like, some guy said it best. He was like, I'm pretty sure he's right, but the game is $20, I think, for PS4 right now.
Really?
I think
Wait,
so.
why is it 20?
I don't know.
Standard across any like marketplace?
I don't know exactly where he was looking. I mean, I had to double check that.
There
but
was like a big PlayStation sale recently.
yeah,
I don't know if that's what
$20. Like, if it's not 20, it's probably 30. I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
for this mode alone, right? Like, it's just
Yeah.
freaking cool, man. Like, I can't recommend it enough, honestly.
Cool. Yeah, so that is available on PC, Xbox One, PS4, all three platforms. Like Rob was just saying, it's well worth playing. Even if you might not have been Titanfall 2 before, it's well worth jumping back into. And it's a good supplement to the PvP stuff, which I've been playing pretty regularly since it launched last October. It's been
And they're
almost a
still,
year.
they're still updating it. It seems like every month, almost like some kind of update.
Plus,
game
Papa
modes.
Scorch got a buff.
Papa Scorch. That was the funniest part about the stream. Tay and I
Buff
were
Dad.
laughing. Some guy like, basically, I would butcher it, but he basically did like the DiGiorno. he turned the DiGiorno motto into like Papa Scorch. I don't know.
It's not.
See, I've been thinking
Dad.
about Papa Roach this whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
no, babe.
I was
Wait,
like,
is that
Papa Roach?
yeah, that's Papa Roach. I feel like you need an ability or something called Last Resort. Just really round that out.
And there's going to be more Titans down the road too. Like they're
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
at least one more.
I think two more.
What was the melee based one that they saw in the files? Just like that punches people.
Bison.
Bison, yeah.
Which would because
It's a good
there
name.
are three
I was going to make a
chassis.
Mike Tyson joke.
Really?
It rhymes with
And
it.
Bison.
So, yeah, there are 3 chassis. Like they just did one, the kind of medium build with Monarch. Like I would expect 2 more.
And we've talked about this extensively throughout the last year, but the single player campaign is also like, it's only like, and I say only, you can beat it in probably 4 or 5 hours, but it's still well worth it, especially at $20 now.
Especially
it's an awesome
replaying
single
it.
player. Yeah,
I did like 3 times.
yeah. Yeah, you did a really good video on how the hard difficulty makes that single player like very different, not just harder. Cool. Yeah, so Titanfall 2, that's available on all platforms. Highly encourage you to try it out. Pete Brown, Pyre, you gave it a 9 out of 10. Shit. You think Pyre is a superb game.
The superb out of 10.
Yes. Your review is up on GameSpot. Everybody can go read that. They
can also watch it on YouTube.
They can go watch it if you're on YouTube right now. You liked it a lot. From Supergiant Games, developers of Bastion and Transistor. And Greg Kasevin used to be the EIC here at GameSpot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a disclaimer or just a tangent. But
it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to make sure that there's like no secrets about our relationship.
And he's a writer and designer on the game.
Yes.
So
Correct.
Pyre is kind of, I think you did a good job in your review, as I mentioned, but Pyre is a difficult game to describe, even if you've seen gameplay briefly.
Yeah.
Like what it is structurally as a whole. I don't know. Can you sum it up?
I mean, I had seen trailers going into this review, and I didn't know what I was getting.
Yeah.
But once I started playing, I realized, okay, this is it's one part visual novel where you do a lot of sort of relationship management and decision making as it comes to socializing with your teammates and even opponents. And the other half of this game is what you're looking at right now, this sort of sport that constitutes combat more or less. But really it's a competition between two teams who are fighting for the right to send one of their team members out of this purgatory that they're all stuck in. They're essentially all prisoners that have been imprisoned for crimes against the society, the Commonwealth, but those things are usually unjust, right? Like you were sentenced for your ability to read. They don't want people to be able to read in this world because, they're totalitarian leaders and all that bullshit.
Fahrenheit 451 kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So really you are you're finding your way through this world, learning how to play this sport, getting to know your teammates better, and you ultimately work towards this goal of sending enough people back to stage a resistance back in the real world. And there are so many matches that you can play. There's a limited number throughout the campaign. And if you lose them, you can keep playing. It's sort of like a season of a sport, right? Like you play until the end, and no matter how you do, that's what you end up with. But if you don't win enough matches and you don't send enough people back, then the mission you've been fighting for, even if you get to the end of the game, will be unsuccessful. So you would have done everything in vain. So there's a whole lot to talk about. Really, the sport is the most complicated part about it. Mm-hmm. And I think where this game is going to either click with people or not, depending on how they view this and how much time they give it. Because it starts off pretty easy, and you're essentially just trying to get a ball. There's one ball on the court at a time. You're trying to get it in the other team's goal, and you can do that in any number of ways. But you can only control one character at a time. And so how you sort of jockey for position on the field, you do that based on the classes you're playing with, what their abilities are. And through scoring, you might lose a player for the next round. Like if I run it into the goal, that player is out who scored for the next round. But if I throw it in, then that means that player can come back. But throwing it in is very difficult. Mm-hmm. And the distance that you throw it dictates how many points you get. So it's this constant bouncing act of risk versus reward, and
the respawn time for different characters is also different.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but you can equip different abilities and talismans on the characters to sort of alter the timing of certain things, or how things react based on like whether you score or you're eliminated, or et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole lot to wrap your head around here, and it's also just a gorgeous game to look at.
Yeah,
it's super pretty and it sounds really good in almost every regard. Like I love, the characters don't really have voiceovers. They have more emotes, but they're all very unique.
Kind of gibberish.
Yeah, it's definitely gibberish. Like the merchant guy, I forget his name, but I love listening to him.
He sits on his dad's shoulders, right?
Yeah.
You can also turn, not that you ever would, but you can, if you click his face, you can turn him off.
You can tell him to shut, because when you're shopping,
"Oh."
he's just like,
Oh, he does keep doing that. That actually bothered me. Very minor.
Yeah,
but
so you can tell him to shut up. But yeah, and everyone's gonna have a different experience when they play through this game, because you level up different characters, or you choose, to retain different characters through your playthrough, or send them back to the real world. And as you get to know them, those decisions start to feel a little bit more difficult to make, because, well, if you get rid of someone, sure, maybe you're doing them a favor and you care about the reason they want to be sent back, but then you're also taking away a key player from your team. Mm-hmm. And so then from that point forward, you have less of a chance of success, because you're playing with characters that are maybe weaker or you have less experience with.
I absolutely love, we're watching gameplay right now, and a few people were mentioning, it does, I think they might have joined a little later saying, oh, this looks like the people who made Bastion. And yeah, it's... this and Transistor and Bastion all have the very distinct Supergiant style, but they still look different enough that they're very they stand on their own. Mm-hmm. And this game, there's musical tones that also kind of allude back to Bastion. There's a lot of strings, like guitars and whatnot, kind of this like folky feel to it.
But
maybe that's not the right way.
No, that's fair, but that's like some of the tracks.
Yeah.
Right.
This game has it's an incredible range of different types of music in it, and it's always tied to sort of the person that you're interacting with. It's sort of like theme music, and it's all so good. I mean, we don't talk about polish in game reviews because it's a concept that is pretty nebulous. Like, what does that really mean? But when I look at Pyre, I see like no rough edges. Like nothing feels like it was under-realized or maybe it doesn't fit. Everything seems to fit just right and feels so close to perfect in so many ways.
Yeah, and it's the sport itself they've invented by kind of this amalgamation of football, basketball, like handball almost. It's,
kind of, yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's very much its own thing, but the way that they kind of fuse the RPG aspects of the characters with it is really fun. I mean, I just was watching your gameplay. You have far more characters than I have at this point. I think I have 6 total.
Yeah.
And getting more is really enticing, both in their characterization, but also how they affect the gameplay. And then you see here the maps start changing.
Yeah, maps introduce...
The field, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like some objects will move around as you bump into them. Some are stationary. And if there's a versus mode that you can jump into where you can play as every character that you will get through the story as well as every villain that you would meet, or even NPCs that never even participate in these competitions they're known as rights. So the versus mode is actually super robust, and the one disappointing thing about this game, or at least the one that is actually worth spending time talking about, is the lack of online multiplayer, because it takes experience to really understand the nuance to each character. And once you do, you just want to put that to the test. And the end of the game is tough. Like, I struggled towards the end.
That's actually what I was going to ask you about, like the learning curve with regard to the limited number of rights that you can go through in the game. Because it's like, I feel like my biggest concern would be that once I finally figured it out, and I'm like, oh, I super get this sport. Like the game's over, and I mean, like I guess that enhances replayability in a lot of ways because you have all these interlocking parts and different characters and a story that you want to explore. But that is something that I would have wanted, is like once you get through the story and you feel like you really have a grasp on this mechanically. Like there's local co-op, but not everybody is gonna have access to that.
Right, like if you just say, "Hey, person who's never played this game before, let's have a match together."
That's not gonna work.
It's stupid. You're just gonna wipe the floor with that person. There are sort of like a way that you can train, and there is a way you can train in the game. It doesn't feel as compelling, like versus actually just completing the story. Like spending time doing that is like I'd much rather just continue playing. But the first half of the game is super easy, and then like I was flawless record until I lost 3 matches in a row, and that's when I kind of woke up and realized like I haven't been really thinking about this game in terms of everything it's presenting to me and what options are at my disposal. And so then even when you lose a character that you're super familiar with and you have to start using characters you're not, there are general strategies and concepts that are ingrained in you throughout those hours, and it becomes easier to pick up new characters as you go. So I think even if you just spend a few hours with this game, you'll sort of realize like, in general, it's good to do this, and I should avoid doing that.
Right.
And then characters will sort of just slightly impact how you consider a match in that way.
Right.
To go back to the sports game angle, it's kind of weird that it reminded me of Rocket League, how it made sports games interesting to me again, as someone who grew up playing Madden, but kind of trailed off after I was like 14 or 15 or something. But yeah, the actual learning the rules of this game was like half the fun, but then it is wrapped in so many good narrative aspects, and just tonally, I love this game, and the story it's telling, but also, the music, the characterization, and I know you have like a favorite character, Rob. What was his name? Do you remember his name? The Cur?
Barker.
One of those dog-looking characters.
I laughed out loud and like had to like put the controller down because it was such a great intro. And as Peter was commenting on like the polish, where like it really very much is like a chord. If you imagine different like strings involved, right? Like art style, timing with music. When this character, or when characters for that matter, are introduced, they punch in and they have a line of dialogue that's so unique. Basically, I don't know if I want to spoil it too much, but this character is, well, should I?
Yeah. Well,
there's not much to spoil with the Curs. They're the most straightforward character in the game.
They're like small like dogs, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
But and this also ties in nicely to what I was going to get at that you mentioned, Peter, with like basically this character shows up and he's like such. Imagine a small like Chihuahua with a studded collar who's like, "Let's go and make your blood boil," and it's like he's got metal strings come in after just hearing a very like different folk song.
Everyone else is like, I need to go back to the real world because my wife, or like there's injustices I must correct. And they're like, let's just freaking play some ball.
And that's the clan. Yeah, you're right.
They don't even want to go back. They just want to battle.
They love the rights.
They love their life in the
some ball.
underworld.
They're called the Ash Paws, I think. We're the Ash Paws. Let's rumble.
Yeah, that's choice. I love that.
It's so great.
The
And
characterization's really good for every type of personality. In this game.
And to also tie in is like, you know, if you look at the gameplay, if you might be thinking like, oh, the sport and the character dialogues seem separate, right? But when you are interacting with this guy, he's so threatening to a specific character that you may have liked and were using. That character in many other situations with rights, he's just like, I can't. We have beef. I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Go play, but like I'm out, and then you can't use him.
Yeah,
and that happens time and time again where it's not the same right or the same style that you're comfortable with. You're always changing up how you play.
Characters that'll cheat. In the middle of a match, they will cheat and do something that is like, I was about to win and holy shit, they just turned the tables on me. And where you maybe felt comfortable for the last minute, you're like, crap.
Okay, that is so cool. Because, I mean, I think it's really interesting combining a sports type game with a visual novel. From what you guys have said, it sounds really successful. But that's even cooler to me, the fact that it just ties in directly and affects how you actually play that sport.
It doesn't feel like they're moving in parallel. It feels like they've harmonized and they're in sync.
It's a pretty bold move to have a character that just throws the rules out the window for a sport that you have grasped the rules of. Yeah. But it works.
It's not intimidating though. Like it may appear that way, but it's not. Like once you, as Peter said, like maybe it takes a loss.
It's very forgiving in the beginning.
Yeah.
It lets you find your footing.
And that's also what happened to me is you mentioned like losing 3 times in a row and you gotta snap out of it. The other part about that is, I think it's very much like an RPG is when you lose, and those outcomes are your fault. And it's pretty heavy sometimes. You're like, I want to go back and replay that so I can win. I want to have that clean record.
And you can do that.
Oh, really?
You can. But don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That totally defeats the purpose. And the game kind of addresses it in a way, like because there's this all-powerful entity that like kind of speaks to you. And it's like, whether or not you accept this is up to you. And,
the Snape character.
Yeah. Oh, no, I just love that. Before every match, this just grand introduction with like the camera like pulling down from the ceiling of an environment and this godlike
has begun.
And at one point, he's just like, oh, you're so close to success and I want you to lose, but we must proceed anyway. So be it. Fail, Nightwings, or whatever your name is. Like, He's
there's so good. He's such a character. Yeah, there's one time he was like, I initially wanted you guys to lose, but I've changed my mind.
It sounds
Can you narrate my whole playthrough actually? Just
turn the game volume off. Damn Dingo in the Twitch chat, Pete, was asking if you have an opinion on Bastion, Transistor, or Pyre for your favorite one that Supergiant has done.
I tried to play Bastion many times and I didn't like it. I have not tried Transistor.
Gotcha.
I mean, the thing that I liked most about Transistor was the music. I think the music's phenomenal in that game.
Music is super catchy here, and very different.
From what you've described of Pyre, it reminds me a lot of what I liked about Undertale. So I'm very, very excited to actually dive deep into this game.
Like the character relationships?
Well, just like how the actual the quote unquote gameplay portion isn't really like a separate gameplay portion. It's tied into the narrative and that's interwoven throughout. Like that's my favorite thing about Undertale. So.
Yeah, it's all elegantly connected.
Yeah.
It goes back to the idea of polish. Like I never felt like there was a moment of transition that felt just to facilitate a game,
Yeah.
Cool. So Pyre is out on
PS4 and PC only, I think.
And then you can go read Pete's review on GameSpot or watch it on YouTube. We have both covered on both sides. We also will be talking more about Pyre. Actually, no, never mind. We were just going to talk about Pyre on Reboot this weekend, but we're not anymore. But you pretty much covered everything.
Stole your thunder.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. All right. I want to talk about Fortnite. I don't think you guys have gotten much chance to play it.
You play it and yell once in a while.
I played it a couple years ago.
Oh, I've started yelling much more the more I play it. This is a really weird game to talk about. I was trying to describe everything going on to you yesterday, Pete. We have a freelancer reviewing it. I'm not reviewing it. This is just my thoughts on it. But I do want to talk about it because it's out in the open, or it's out in the wild if you pay money for it.
That's a whole story.
Yep. So 2011, they announced this. And Cliff Bleszinski, when he was still at Epic at the Spike Video Game Awards, announced this 3 weeks after they came up with the idea and had an easy, like a soft pitch. Yeah. So this, keep in mind, Orcs Must Die came out this year, as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 did not have a zombies mode. I'm trying to set the stage for what this is. And of course, Minecraft was, I mean, Minecraft is always big, but I think 2011 was like, Minecraft was huge. That was when it was like reaching its peak. Yeah, 2010, 2011.
Yeah, it was climbing at the top.
So this game, when they first announced it, looked like wave defense with Minecraft aspects that you build a fort, and it kind of is that, but it also, now that I've played more of it, it kind of isn't. So yesterday, it did a soft launch. You can pay like full prices or a founder's pack price of $90. You get a code and a ton of loot. You have a code.
Pay 100.
You can pay. There's another one above that. Yeah, 110. But their ultimate plan is to make this free to play sometime next year, I think, when they actually release it. So it's technically,
it's in early access.
Yes.
But you wouldn't know that unless you looked in the right places.
Right. So they have a very big marketing problem with this game. And also, the more I've played it, the more I have started to severely dislike Fortnite. I love the idea of Fortnite. I love a lot of things that they're trying to do. But right here, you see someone pulling out a pickaxe. Before the wave defense starts, it says defend the van up there. There's 45 seconds left. It's very much like Orcs Must Die. You're building these traps, but you're also in a third-person action game centered around those traps. But the more I play, there are so many things that are at odds with each other. And I was trying to describe to you, Beat, how it felt almost like it's already designed to be free to play, but I paid full price.
The one thing I was missing in that conversation was the idea that you can spend real-world money to win in this game. It is already pay to win.
Yeah, so it's not PvP, so it's not
right.
But
you pay to loot. I don't know.
But it's supposed to be co-op. But what this gameplay right now is not really showing you is that you're constantly competing with your teammates for a lot of different things. So you first get into the match, and you get into this instance. It's like Destiny. I don't know, like bad comparison compared to a Strike, but you'll get into this one procedurally generated map, and you'll all have these like main quests that you have active, like like find 5 treasure chests or find 5 of these tape recordings of the person who uncovered the conspiracy that led to this zombie outbreak. But at the same time, you're also just doing the same thing, defending this storm shield that you're building, or defending this van, this weather van that's trying to land, and so you could track the storm a little easier. It's a really good-looking game. I like the cartoon art style. But it's so cluttered, as you can see in this interface. You have all 3 characters with their health. You have your health, armor, what's the bottom? Stamina. Then you have 5 different resources, and those are only like 5 of the 35 resources you can think of. You have 4 weapons at the bottom, and if you're not spending most of the match beforehand breaking down cars for metal, you're not going to have enough supplies for ammo. So you really need to get into this game and know what resource you're looking for and breaking down cars. But you're also competing because it's shared loot, so the first person to get to a treasure chest is the only person that gets that.
Tight.
So it's co-op, but you're also competing.
So, yes, because at the end of a match, you get medals based on your combat score, your building score, and those medals dictate what level loot you'll get. They're loot crates, and based on the medals, you will get a level 3 crate or a 4, and it'll upgrade the loot you're getting. So you're competing with other people to get more kills or build more or just, kind of contribute to the cause more than they are, even though it's kind of purports to be a co-op game. And I always get kind of anxious if I'm like trying to build and I see all 3 other people at the zombie spawn point getting all the kills. I'm like, well, what is the point of me doing this?
Yeah, because you're not working together.
Yeah.
But you're getting build points.
Yeah.
But the build points don't really matter because they're not necessarily as useful, especially because here's another thing. Similar, you have a bunch of resources that go into, like, you'll need like 20 nuts and bolts, you'll need 20 wood, you'll need 20 like specific herbs to create this weapon. But some of those resources are always also go toward upgrading your trap schematics. But traps are not nearly as useful because if you upgrade your weapons, you don't necessarily need to build these traps. It's really fun to build these cool looking forts and kind of see what people create, but you don't need them. Like, so many of your resources are going toward weapons that, but the same ones could be going toward traps, but there's no point to upgrading your traps because your weapons are more useful. Yeah. Right. I want, if it brings up the actual menu when we go back, outside of this. This is in a match, but I want to show you these menus because I'm not exaggerating. 80% of my time in Fortnite is in the menus, not the in-game inventory, the menus.
I do, before we get there, I want to point out that the UI here is like a MOBA plus Minecraft plus an RPG with a mini
like
map.
an MMO
That was the
almost,
first thing I
too.
said to you. I don't know if you listened, Mike. I was like, what is that HUD?
No, it's like one of the most cluttered HUDs I've seen in like modern gaming. I mean, a lot of like older Japanese games have a lot going on, right? But like this is a HUD that combines so many different types of things. And we just talked about Pyre, like really beautifully combining things that are at odds. This seems like they just put a bunch of different ideas together and then didn't do the work to combine them.
Yeah, so
gracefully.
I don't know how to pronounce this. Tlee, Tlee on Twitch is telling me that when you play with friends, you can share loot. That still does not change my opinion of the fact that I'm competing with people for stuff later on, and the fact that
you can.
You can, but most of the time I'm matchmaking with people. But that's the thing. I've had to do so much research onto what this game even is after I bought it because I was excited for it. It's not at all what I thought it would be. But it's also the fact that I cannot really stress how much loot you are getting and how little of it matters, because you can break a lot of it down. You can put a lot of it into these collections, which is essentially a scrapbook where it reminded me of Pyre, where you kind of sacrifice this weapon to be part of your collection, and then that'll give you these commander points. You're getting commander points, which go through the basic skill tree. You're getting research points, which accrue on a real world hourly every 10 minutes or something, and you collect those. You send people, some of your squads, on expeditions, and they'll come back 8 real world hours later with resources. You're getting V-Bucks, you're getting Founders Bucks, you're getting daily rewards, you're getting quest rewards, you are getting... I don't really know how to describe how overwhelming it is, how much loot I'm getting, and knowing that I'm only going to just keep upgrading these 4 weapons, and I'm going to get ammo for these 4 weapons.
What's up with this weather balloon? Sorry to cut
That's
you
just
off.
part of it. That's just the character that you help out to track the storm better. The tone and the writing of this game is actually really funny and whimsical, and I think they nail it well what they're going for. But like you said, Callie, I think I mentioned earlier that this game was announced in 2011. This is very much, and it's been in development for 6 years, and they've been struggling. You know, they did another soft launch, like what, 2 years ago? 2015, they let people play. Maybe it was a beta. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But something they released, and you can tell this is very much a product of like 2011. Assassin's Creed Revelations came out, and Assassin's Creed was at the peak of adding more stuff just for the sake of it. You know, like Call of Duty didn't have zombies that year. There was Orcs Must Die, which they were going for here. Minecraft's at its peak. This feels like an amalgamation of so many different games at that time, but it doesn't do any of those well. And so many of those things are at odds with each other that I do have like fleeting moments of fun in this game. But so much of it is dragged down by the fact that I feel like this game they looked at how can we add more content for content's sake to this game, because I feel like for a while that's how we were judging games. You know, like like I said, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Assassin's Creed just continually gave us stuff to do without any reason to do it, and there was no substance. This feels very much like a game that is designed around the content, like having more loot and having more things to do without actually having much reason to do it. But they didn't have a good foundation before they added all that stuff. And maybe it's the result of 6 years in development and they couldn't really pivot and change completely on a dime. You've seen teams do that, but it's harder. That's very hard to do. And maybe it's just so long in development that they lost sight of what they wanted to do. And because so many new things have come and gone in game design, they were trying to chase all these different things. And now it really feels like a mess. And I feel like I was telling Pete, because of the research points you have to wait real world time for, the fact that you can pay for stuff to just fly through and make the time spent not as worthwhile. I feel like I just paid full price, well, more than full price, because I gave a code to a friend to play with me. I purposely got the $90, $80 edition so I could give a code to someone. I just feel like I paid for a game that's already designed to be free to play when it finally launches. And that would be fine if I knew that's what I was doing, but I don't think their messaging, their marketing fully conveyed that at all.
So right now, if you go to buy this game on Xbox, it is not in their preview program. You buy it just like any other finished game.
Yeah.
It has a note in the description of that product that says, early access season starts July 25th. That is pulling a fast one on your customers, because that is not being upfront and saying you are buying an early access game. You can't buy this on Steam. You can only buy this on Epic Store on PC.
Damn.
I mean, they are skirting around the idea that, hey, we're not calling this game final. So what does that mean? Like, what is left to add? What are they going to do? What are they going to change? I don't know how to tell our audience, hey, here's the reason why we're treating this like an early access game. Here's what you can expect when it's done. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who freaking knows? And the way that they're treating it right now, like, and if you go to their page to buy it on their website, if you just Google like buy Fortnite, it takes you to the page. It says buy now. Here's the pricing. It doesn't say anything about early access unless you scroll like 6 pages down to like, you know, look at all their big scrolling wallpapers with huge text talking about the features. And at the bottom it says early access starts now.
Okay.
Like,
So Charlie Brown and Spy Scout in the Twitch chat are correcting me. Apparently you don't compete for chests at the end. Apparently you all get the same medals, which that's fine. I don't care about the chest. I get loot that I'm never going to use. I get loot that doesn't matter. I get loot that's just being thrown at me. I don't care about any of it. It's not changing how I play. I have 4 weapons that I'm upgrading. So even if I'm not competing for these chests, why do I care about getting level 3 chests? Why do I care about getting level 4? Why would I build? Why would I contribute the resources to traps, which don't really do much when I can contribute to the same 4 weapons? I feel like this game is just throwing stuff at me, and I'm playing to get stuff that I don't care about. Like,
so maybe this is the difference between where they are and where they want to be when they go free to play.
Exactly. I'm all for. I love the idea of this game. And I have no problem with casual games that you can just jump into and play burst. Diablo 3 is very repetitive, but I have the same character I started in 2012, and I'm getting new stuff that's making that character still better 5 years later. And I'm changing how I play based on these weapons. Nothing in Fortnite leads me to believe that this game is. I should have paid this much money for it at all.
Is there like a risk reward with difficulty? Like, can you ramp up the difficulty or something like that?
Yeah, so the game gets better once you get farther in. Like, well, I mean, there are specific. You go to an overworld map and you can pick different like areas. One will say recommended power, which is your base power. Recommended power, like 5 or 6 or whatever. I'm like 20 hours in at this point, and it gets difficult, and it's more fun when it's difficult. But I just paid full price for a game that I feel like was preventing me from really seeing the best it had to offer until like 15 hours in. I don't know, and I'm not like, I'm sure this game is for a lot of people. I know like Aaron in our office has been enjoying the casual aspects of it, enjoying the building, and I do enjoy that, but I don't think I should have paid full price for this game. And this was like a thing, didn't Paragon have a mixed messaging when you can buy it, but wasn't that all aesthetic stuff, or was that actually like abilities and whatnot?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened, and it was very confusing to me as well. And we didn't end up reviewing that game because it was like kind of the first of this type where it's not like it's early access, but it isn't. And it's free to play, but it isn't.
Well, that's the thing that, like, normally I don't think about price necessarily when I'm thinking about what I get with a game, right? Like, that's not how I evaluate, like, especially if I'm writing a review, right? Like, I'm not like, oh, this was $15 and I got $15 worth of enjoyment. But in this instance, it feels like they're trying to get ahead of people who would wait for free to play and be like, it's now available, and then really, really bury the lead on it not being done and being in early access, which feels like they're just trying to cheat the system. That's the thing that bothers me, and that's why it feels like, why would I pay so much money for this game when it's clear, like, from Mike, from everything you told me, it's like designed to be free to play.
Yeah, and I've tried to get clarification from PR about, like, so when this is deemed ready for free to play, that means it'll be feature complete. They're like, well, no. I mean, depending on how the game goes, we'll keep making stuff for it. And I'm like, well, what's going to change between now and then? Oh, well, we're making new stuff for it.
But then
so at what arbitrary point do you...
Right, what point is it done?
When people stop paying for this early access, when they realize that they need to...
At what point is it feature complete and then more content is DLC that just enriches the experience? Like the games we talked about earlier with, like, Titanfall, it's like you get a complete game and they keep adding things that make it better. Versus this, it's like, oh, we're just going to keep throwing stuff into it and never finish it. It's just, I don't know how it's a weird, murky area that
it feels unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah.
And it's not on Steam, correct?
It's not on Steam.
It's on Epic's platform.
Because a Steam game would have that early access.
You're damn right.
In most cases,
Distinction, like, right there.
Yeah. So, like, I'm all for Epic, you know, figuring a bunch of these gripes that I have out, and I know I'm not the only one. There was a huge Reddit review that blew up, and the person got a lot of critical feedback, but it was actually very fair. And even without those competition aspects, if I did just truly misunderstand those, that's my fault. But so much of this game, as people in the chat right now are saying, tutorial doesn't explain a lot of it. There's so much loot, I have no idea what I'm doing with. And I'm spending the time to try to figure this out. I enjoy games that you have to really dive into.
It's become a chore.
it's become a chore. It's
fruitless. It sounds like.
Yeah, there's no. I'm not having fun with this game, and you can say that I just want to play it casually, which I do, but I can play a lot of other games casually. I can play Destiny casually. I can play Diablo 3 casually. I can play Minecraft casually. I can play Orcs Must Die if I want to go back. I can play all of the different games inspired this game that are all better than this game's individual parts.
Yeah.
As of now, and I'm all for them changing my mind when it becomes free to play, and I'll pay for more stuff I already paid for.
There's something to be said. I mean, you said it so early on, like $90, $100,
$110.
Well, there are different versions.
Yeah,
the
I think
base
60
one
is the cheapest.
40. I think. Can you get 40?
Oh, maybe it's 40. I don't know.
Yeah, let me look that up actually. Yeah, but it's not technically called early access.
Well,
really,
it is when you boot up the game. It finally says early access. Like when you literally.
Yeah.
But even that.
The fact
aside, the fact that it's so complicated that somebody who's actively trying to enjoy it, like Mike, and like trying to put time into it, is misunderstanding elements of the game, and not through the fault of the game. It's not like you're stupid and you don't get how this game works. It sounds like there's so much going on that it's so murky and unclear, and it's like that doesn't make a good. Like one of the things I like about, you mentioned Destiny, you can play casually. Like Destiny, you can kind of scale to your level of commitment to it. So you can play super hardcore and do shit every Tuesday night and like have a regimen with it, or you can just jump in and shoot some Cabal. You can scale it to how you want to play. This is like, if I want to play it casually, I still like the tutorial doesn't teach me how to do anything. I'm still gonna misunderstand things. I'm paid $80 to play a game that's technically not finished. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just it seems like a huge cluster F.
Yeah. Charlie Brown and Lee in the Twitch chat, thank you very much for clarifying about the rewards and everything, because I had no idea. I thought I did. And I still think you are competing for chests, and the Outlander class is the only one that could see through walls, so why be anything but the Outlander class? But in the end, even if I get that chest first, what's the point? Again, let me clarify. There are very good aspects to this game. I think it's a gorgeous game. I think the ideas are there, and I want them to be turned around. And I think Epic could, because there's this period right now is great for feedback, and they have more money now to fix these things. So I want them to.
There's also a good time to remind people that we may have a different opinion than the person reviewing the game.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So a freelancer, Daniel Starkey is reviewing it. I'm not reviewing it. I just have a very different opinion. I might have a different opinion. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. It's just, this is how I feel. This game is not what I thought it would be. And part of that's on me, but I think part of it is also just mixed messaging on Epic's part. I hope this game
Peter,
becomes...
Mike, Rob, and Callie talking about it, not GameSpot.
Sure. Yes.
And Daniel's review will be Daniel's review.
Yeah. So there are a few different tiers. There's a $60, there's like an $80, there's $110. It's just different starter packs.
I mean, really quickly, because you kind of did just wrap this up, but does it remind you of No Man's Sky in that like what you're getting is not what you expected, but also what you're getting is not like No Man's Sky? I know, Peter, you didn't think that it was a bad game. It was just people had really high expectations, right? Yeah. We've talked about this before. With this game, it sounds like you expected one thing, and then also what you got wasn't even up to par. Is that a fair comparison?
I think I thought it was something it wasn't personally.
Right.
And I know a lot of people, like I said, there's people in the chat right now that are saying, it's just fun. It's a casual fun. And I agree. I could casually have fun with this game. I would happily play this game if it was free to play and not spend any money and just but my time isn't even being rewarded with good rewards, in-game rewards. And I think it's just designed around this constant stream of content that doesn't matter. And to clarify, standard edition is $40, but I'm not done. Deluxe edition is $60. Super Deluxe Edition is $90. Guess how much the limited edition is?
It's not $110?
$150.
Oh.
And let me tell you what it gets you, though, because this is important. I don't mean to, one exclusive legendary weapon.
It's a very colorful...
I know, it looks really good. Rare starter hero pack of 8 heroes. Rare starter weapon pack of 4 weapons and 1 trap. Exclusive founder's pistol. 2 exclusive in-game defenders. 2 digital standard editions for friends. Exclusive founders chat channel. And more details below. But... so many of those things, those heroes, I don't feel like they matter. I feel like I'm going to put them in a collection and it's going to give me 1 point to increase my fortitude, which is and this is all just generalization. These are fortitude, resilience, increasing your base health, increasing your character health. But why would I put this toward ammo when I could just put this toward why would I put this toward a trap when I could put it toward a weapon that is going to push me through the whole game? And then things get difficult 20 hours in, and it becomes much more fun, which everybody tells me. And from the amount of people that are telling me that it gets more fun 20 hours in, 15 hours in, I don't doubt that. I believe all of you, but I just paid full price for a game that doesn't seem like it matters until 15 hours in.
And also, if it doesn't respect your time, there's so many fantastic games out this year that like a lot of us haven't gotten to. Like I still haven't played Nier the way I want. Like I actually want to like finish that game, right? Like I'd rather play a game that respects my time more so than what it sounds like this game is doing. Because if it's not rewarding you for what you're doing, then
the best free-to-play games I think find. I don't like the free-to-play model, but you know, like the whole idea is you can either spend time or money, and the best free-to-play games I think find a way to make your time worth it. Like Plants vs. Zombies 2, I still play it every once in a while, and that the same thing. Like you could pay for more stuff, but I don't because I feel like the game actually rewards me for the time I put into it. That's I think my head's in the tower defense realm right now. But again, Charlie Brown and Tlee in the Twitch chat, thank you so much for clarifying. And Charlie Brown said there is an edition in-game that you can only buy in-game. Guess how much that is? And he bought this. He or she bought this on PS4. It's $250.
that you can access after you buy the standard?
I'm actually not sure, so I don't. It says it's in-game store, but again, if all these people are enjoying it, I'm really happy because Epic, of course, has worked for what 6 years in this game, and
so we should help them out and make sure that they recoup all their money.
But no,
is there a return policy?
Yeah, but no, I
probably not.
There's too many layers. There's too much going on. I'm overwhelmed.
I think maybe just if I couldn't find a better third-person tower defense game in Orcs Must Die, or a better building game with whose creations are not ephemeral. Keep in mind, a lot of these creations will disappear after that round. Where in Minecraft, it's permanent on that server, as long as you don't destroy it or something doesn't happen to that server. I could play Destiny for the social aspect of catching up with a few friends. 5 friends if I'm doing a raid, if I wanted to do that. I could play Diablo if I wanted a repetitive loot grind that actually rewards me for my time and keeps changing how I play it. But I just don't feel like any of those ideas are congealed well enough in this game to make any of my time worth it right now. And if it was free to play, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe if I didn't, again, I paid for it, and that's on me. I spent money. I chose to spend money on it.
I'm happy to hear that people are enjoying it. Like I like it when people like things, and I always want people to have a good time.
Yeah. No,
You're proper rustled right now.
This could be very fun for a lot of people, and I'm not like, I can understand that. It's not like completely foreign to me why people would have fun with this. I just am not.
When does it go free to play?
Don't know yet.
Sometime in 2018.
Yeah. But again, thank you to everybody in the Twitch and YouTube chats who are joining in on that conversation. You were helping me out a lot. I appreciate it because there's so much of this game I still don't understand, but I do still have the same opinion of it based on some huge fundamental flaws I find with it. But it's just not for me. But again, we'll have our review from someone totally separate who may have a different opinion than me sometime in the coming
future.
Sometime in 2018 when our review goes free to play, you can read it.
It's been
future.
Categorizing this game as early access or not has been a very confusing process, and I'm not getting answers that are satisfying me, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
That's Fortnite.
Yeah, that's also our show. Thank you everybody for joining. I do have a giveaway.
It's me.
You get a date with Pete Brown.
No, not a date. Like the rest of your life.
Oh, you get permanent Pete
marriage.
No. Don't tie me down.
Shiva, our Twitter, the person who runs our Twitter, she will, if she didn't already, go to GameSpot on Twitter, follow it, the account, retweet the tweet about the giveaway. We have 5,000 gigantic codes. The
biggest codes you've ever seen.
Holy
this code's like 35 numbers. Yeah, so there you go. If you're in the Twitch chat, Khaleesi Plays, that is Shiva. She just tweeted the giveaway. Thank you, Shiva. And if you're in the YouTube chat, just go to Twitter. If you don't follow us, retweet that tweet. Later on in the week, we will pick a bunch of people to give this code to. This game recently, finally released.
Yeah, it kind of came out. It had I think a free period where you could play it.
Why can't games just come out? What happened to a disc and
the good old days where you put a cartridge and it started right away?
It's such a we were just lauding Titanfall 2 and Overwatch and The Division for being really good games that are platforms that evolve, and I love that. And I love when games do it right. I don't like when games do it wrong.
Do it weird. Yeah. We'll also have a review of Gigantic coming up. So
cool. A lot of stuff coming out of GameSpot. So yeah, we'll pick winners for those codes later on. We have 5,000 codes. I was considering like saying 10 to make it seem more exclusive, but there's 5,000. You'll probably get one. I can't promise anything. I'm digging myself a hole. Cool. Everybody, thank you for joining this week as always.
I don't even know 5,000 people.
Eric Tay, yeah.
Loser.
Eric Tay, Richard Lee, Jean-Luc Seipke in the back, Shiva for doing our Twitter account and everything, Ryan Schubert, who's in our YouTube chat and always moderating every week. Thank you for all your help behind the scenes. Everybody in the chat, again, thank you for joining on this conversation this week. Had a really good time. We'll be back next week. I'll be out for a couple weeks, like late August, September, but you have to deal with me for another few weeks. Cool. But as always, we'll see you next Wednesday, and thanks for stopping by.